Have you ever watched a skier coming down a slope and they look incredibly smooth and fluid? I'm Christian Eigner, full cert Canadian and Austrian ski instructor. Today, I will try to give you a couple of tips to ski with more smoothness and flow. Let's have a look. This video is really for a beginner skier all the way to an expert skier. For the beginner skiers, it's sometimes really hard to bring a little bit more consistency in their turns, to get them a little bit more smoother and create that flow state. For the expert skier, very often they are not really sure what to work on a free ski day. Guaranteed, you can always work on your smoothness and flow on any terrain. Enjoy! For me, what it comes down to is really the stance and balance. How my ankles, knees and hips work together. If one of those joints is not actively working with the other joints, you can think about a production line where one section is just not working. The whole production might collapse. And that is the similar thing with skiing. Now let's visualize it. Let's have a look at a good skier who actively uses all their joints nice and smooth, in comparison with a weaker skier who is just lacking a little bit of that ability to move smooth throughout all their joints. The good skier really lets the joints work actively together. Versus if you look at the bad skier, he looks really rigid and locked in their joints. There is no smoothness visible. The next two tips in this video will definitely help you in your everyday skiing to bring in more smoothness and flow. Let's have a look. Okay, tip number one for today's lesson is getting yourself from skiing in Z-shaped turns where you are locked in your joints to really nice and progressive skiing with like C-shaped turns. The goal here is that we really use all of our joints smooth together. So to make it a little bit more interesting, we brought out the best whiteboard in the world out here. And now, talking about the Z-shaped turns, we really mean that it almost looks like this. Our goal is to really get the turns nice and smooth into more like a C-shaped turn. Now we are here to demonstrate the Z-shaped turns. Now think about I'm driving in a car and I just want to do a straight away a turn like this. Nobody will actually throw their steering wheel around and just stay in this position. You're gonna apply pressure on the steering wheel and turn the steering wheel nice and smoothly throughout the turn. It's really throwing me off balance when my skiing joints are not working together. When I try to apply nice and smoothness throughout my joints, the turn shape actually goes into a nice C-shaped turn. I'm way more balanced over my skis and I'm actually starting to get really into a smoothness and flow state while skiing. Tip number two in today's lesson is that we want to think a little bit outside the box. Usually, every person is always just thinking weight on my downhill ski. Now what I want you to think about today is to actually think about your inside ski and shortening that inside ski to actively get more pressure onto our downhill ski and more grip on it. Two important things here. First of all, we want this to happen really nice and smooth. Secondly, we do not want to get into a lateral movement. We want this to happen in an active vertical movement. So, tip number two, as I said, is actively retracting that inside ski. Now we're gonna have a look while skiing it. So I'm setting myself up nice and mobile in my joints And then as I go up, I'm already starting to retract that inside leg, and right through that transition, I'm softening this inside ski to build up that pressure onto the downhill ski. Think about riding a bicycle. One leg pushes down and the other leg comes up. When I work on smoothness in my own skiing, it's sometimes really hard to tell how this run was because I cannot look at myself. Today I'm skiing with calf insoles in there. These insoles are actually measuring how smoothly I can turn over my skis onto the edge and roll it over onto the other edge. Therefore, I get a score. While I was demonstrating those really odd Z-shaped turns earlier, that edge smoothness score was relatively low. When I skied nice and smoothly, used all my joints in my C-shaped turns, I got a much higher score, and therefore I know that my edge smoothness is going much better. This is a really cool way of getting an outside reference point for your own personal skiing. Okay, it's time to wrap up our lesson from today. Remember the 2 tips. Tip number 1, where we go from Z-shaped turns into nice and active mobility into some C-shaped turns. And tip number 2, where we think about vertically retracting that inside ski to make it nice and smooth. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it. Put some comments, let us know how we did. Subscribe to our channel, watch out for more stuff. And now it's time to go skiing!